Hey guys, it's Michelle. I have been living with type 1 diabetes for 16 years and I have been using a Dexcom continuous glucose monitor for over 3 years now. Today I am working with Dexcom on this video to talk to you guys about starting a continuous glucose monitor and to give you some tips because it is a huge change in lifestyle. Starting a continuous glucose monitor means that you are going from only knowing your blood sugar at specific time points throughout the day to seeing your blood sugar live in real time. And I know it took me a while to adjust to this. As I always mention in my videos, I am not a healthcare professional. These are tips that I found worked well for me and I just wanted to share with you guys. So none of what I say in this video should be taken as medical advice. Before I give you my top tips for starting a Dexcom, I just wanted to quickly share my continuous glucose monitor story with you guys. In the beginning of college, I had severe low anxiety to the point where I was testing my blood sugar about 20 times a day. My endocrinologist and my diabetes team at every appointment would tell me, "Stop checking so much," because it was overkill and it wasn't even improving my blood sugar control. I was becoming almost obsessive about it. For about a year, my diabetes team urged me to try a continuous glucose monitor and they kept telling me that I was the perfect candidate for it. However, I could not get over the fact that I would have to wear a second site. Finally, in 2015, I took the plunge and I decided to try Dexcom after hearing amazing things from the type 1 diabetes community on Instagram. It was the best decision I have ever made. All of a sudden, I could constantly see what my blood sugar was without pricking my finger and whether it was rising or falling. Going from only seeing specific time points throughout the day to continuously seeing what my blood sugar was really opened my eyes to what was going on in between those blood sugar checks. But at the same time, it was also really overwhelming to all of a sudden have this information. So here are my favorite tips for starting a Dexcom and dealing with this new data that you now have in your hands. Tip number 1, start simple with the alerts. Alerts are optional with Dexcom, so you can use them or you don't have to. It's as simple as opening the Dexcom app on your phone, clicking this icon in the top left corner, clicking alerts, and then you can see all of the alerts listed here. For example, if I want to turn off my high alert, I just click on that and then click this little switch here, and now the alert's off. One thing you can't turn off is the urgent low alarm at 3.1 millimoles per liter, which you would always want to have on for safety, especially if you can't feel your lows. At the beginning, if you only want to activate a low alert, you could set it to a number where you feel you would want to be alarmed in order to avoid a low. For example, I consider anything under 4 millimoles per liter to be low, so if I wanted to set a low alert to catch a low before it happens, I could set it to 4.5 millimoles per liter. I also use high alerts to be able to head off highs before they get too high, but all of the alerts are a personal choice and you will find out what works best for you over time. Tip number 2, watch and learn. It can be easy to overreact when suddenly you are seeing your blood sugars rise and fall for the first time, but remember this has always been happening, it's only the first time you've seen it. If you see your blood sugar rising, you may be tempted to rage bolus, which is when you give yourself large amounts of insulin in an attempt to fix the rising blood sugar, but do not rage bolus because this can lead to a serious blood sugar crash later on. Instead of giving a rage bolus or making any other big changes to insulin dosing, just do what you normally would and notice where you may want to make changes, and then discuss it with your healthcare professional. One thing I noticed when I first started the Dexcom is that food affects blood sugar much faster than insulin, leading to blood sugar spikes after eating. From this information, I have learned that pre-bolusing for meals really helps me reduce those post-meal spikes. It's really all about learning about your type 1 diabetes at the beginning so you can make better decisions. Every person's body is different and what works for one person might not work for you. Tip number 3, only make small changes. Once you can all of a sudden see what's going on with your blood sugar throughout the day, you are going to be tempted to make a bunch of changes to basal rates and insulin to carb ratios. Making a bunch of changes at once can be dangerous and detrimental to your blood sugar control. So start with one small change and give it some time to work. Tip number 4, work with your diabetes team. The best people to help you make decisions based off this new data you have is your diabetes education team. I like to use Dexcom Clarity to print off my trend reports and then bring them to my appointments. You can also save your reports as PDFs PDFs and then email them to your team if you need to make adjustments in between appointments. Tip number 5, and the final tip, is don't be so hard on yourself. Diabetes is hard and nobody has perfect control, so do not expect a straight line on your Dexcom when you first start. Remember that the point of having a continuous glucose monitor is to have a tool to help you see how your blood sugar reacts to exercise and food, to improve your long-term control, and most importantly, prevent those dangerous highs and lows. As we all know with type 1 diabetes, no 2 days are ever the same, no matter how hard we try. There are a million variables that affect blood sugar, and all we can do is try our best one day at a time. For those of you starting a Dexcom, I hope you guys find these tips helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!